Okay, folks, it's now time to start case number 40. Looks like I'm gonna get to go to this case for free. Again. Get off your high horse. Matthew, things are finally looking up. We successfully put an end to the counterfeiting racket that threatened to bring Concordia to its knees. And Leopold Rochester has just endorsed a lucrative bond scheme which promises to resolve the city's financial crisis once and for all. And to top it all off, Ascroft, the most glamorous horse race in Concordia, starts today. The Chiefs got us all tickets, remember? Why anyone would voluntarily attend an event with so many horses present remains a mystery to me. Oh, come on now, Bontemps. There's nothing more thrilling than watching the horse you've bet on cross the finish line in first place. Although I do wish I had time to get a new hat. You see, Ascroft is as much about what you're wearing as it is the racing. Matthew, all bets are off. A dead body's been found in the stables at the Ascroft. At Ascroft. A murder at Ascroft? Matthew, we need to go there now. No, Madeline, I shall accompany Matthew. I must prove that my fear of horses will not stop me from bringing swift justice to killers. Matthew, let us head to the stables at once. Broken toy. Oh goodness. There we are. But I still got the first star anyway. Matthew, this poor woman's head's been completely bashed in. But wait, I recognize the victim. This is Anna Jewell, a famous jockey. She happened to be profiled right next to the chess section in the Concordian Gazette, which is why I read all about her. Perhaps the clues you picked up will help us discover who wanted Miss Jewell dead. This satchel has the initials of the victim embossed on it. It is most certainly worth rifling through. And putting this broken toy back together could also be useful. Matthew, we have our work cut out. Let's not give the killer even an extra second to hoof it. We'll start the autopsy, and I'm gonna get me some stars, so sit tight, everyone. Sorry about that, guys. I accidentally hit the back button. Matthew, the most interesting thing in the victim's bag seems to be this invitation she was sent. See, here's her name. The rest of the information is on the invitation has faded away. Let's uncover it using your Justin kit. Lady Highmore requests the honor of your presence at her cocktail soiree. Matthew, the victim was invited to a party hosted by Lady Highmore. You last rubbed shoulders with our favorite dowager aristocrat shortly after investigating the murder of counterfeiter Jade Carnegie. If Lady Highmore was inviting the victims to her soiree, they must have known each other. Let's have a word with her. Senior Trooper Matthew, what do you think of my hat? I had it custom made for the Ashcroft horse race. It is certainly impressive. Coincidentally, we're here about a murder that took place earlier today at Ashcroft. And a murder at Ashcroft? How uncivilized to kill at the most high society event of the year. But pray, how does this vulgar bloodshed concern me? We believe you knew the victim, a jockey named Anna Jewel. Anna's dead? Why would someone want to kill that sweet girl? That's what we are attempting to discern, milady. How did you know Miss Jewel? Anna was my latest protege. I have a new one for every season, you know. Anna was unfortunately accustomed to consorting with riffraff, so I invited her to my soiree so she could meet the right kind of people. But all that effort has now gone to waste. It beggars belief. Poor Anna was only this morning greeting guests in the grand enclosure at Ashcroft, and now she is gone. So Miss Jewel was at the grand enclosure just prior to her death? Lady Highmore, we must take your leave to examine the area immediately. Well, I'll get the toy pieces out of the way first. Toy horse. Matthew, what a quaint straw horse you put back together. And look, its little saddle has a message on it. Thunderhoof, from Rahul. Wait, I remember. Thunderhoof's the name of the victim's horse. This Rahul chap must have made this toy horse for Miss Jewel, which means he knew the victim. We had better speak with Rahul at once. Rahul Shah, okay. Rahul, Senior Trooper Matthew and I are from the Concordian Flying Squad. We're here to... I knows why you're here, officers. It's about my friend Anna, isn't it? How can Anna be dead? It were only yesterday we was braiding ribbons into the horses' tails together. I'm the stable boy here at Ashcroft, you see, and most folks don't even know as I exist. But Anna weren't all high and mighty like them other nasty jockeys. She was my friend. Now she's dead and I'll have no one but the horses to talk to. We're very sorry for your loss, Rahul. We'll leave you in peace for now, but please don't leave the premises. Let's try for the first star again. There we go. And I did get the first star. Cool. Matthew, aren't those the victim's initials on this blood-stained cravat? It must belong to her. The blood has to be the victim's. But what are those green smudges on the cravat? We had better get a sample. And the cast on the front of this pocket watch certainly doesn't look Concordian. Unlocking it is sure to determine its provenance. Provenance, however you want to say it. Oh boy. There we are. 81418. Okay. One more to go. 43138. Okay. Matthew, Princess Eliza Reinberg is inscribed inside the pocket watch you unlocked. Princess Eliza Reinberg? Royalty here in Concordia? We had better request an audience with this Princess Eliza, but remember to be on your best behavior when we speak to her, Matthew. Good afternoon, Your Royal Highness. We are from the Concordian Flying Squad, and we're hoping to ask you a few quick. How do you do, officers? Isn't this just the most jolly occasion? There is truly nothing I adore more than a horse race. If you say so, Your Highness, but I fear this occasion has been tainted by a murder. A jockey named Anna Jewel was killed earlier today. Miss Jewel has been murdered? Oh my, such atrocious acts would never take place in my dearest Splichtenstein. I'm sorry, Splichten what? Splichtenstein. It is a wonderful country in Central Europe, and while the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain, in Splichtenstein it is simply everywhere. How interesting. But back to our investigation. May I ask if you knew the victim well? I'm afraid Miss Jewel and I moved in different circles. I do, however, recall her giving me the most marvelous curtsy earlier. Now, officers, I must dash. One has many engagements to attend, as I'm sure you understand. Toodle pip. Okay, now the cravat. There we go. Green substance. Let's send the green substance you collected off the victim's cravat straight to Viola. Three hours. Everything else is done. I'll see you all then. For now, this is Matthew. See you then. Okay, folks, we've returned. Let's get the results of the first one. Oh, Matthew, what a breath of fresh air you are, which is more than I can say about your killer. Why, thank you, Viola, but does your compliment have anything to do with the sample Matthew sent you from the victim's cravat? It does. You see, the sample boasted extracts of peppermint and spearmint, essential ingredients to freshen your breath. Richard confirmed that the victim had pristine gums and teeth, meaning she had no requirement of external products to mask a smelly mouth. This, combined with the cravat being found so far from the body, makes it clear that it was the killer who spilled their breath freshener on it. Which allows me to conclude that your murderer will be using a minty spray to cover up a bad taste of, shall we say, horse breath. A noxious mouth will be the least of our killer's worries when we catch them, Matthew. Uses breath fresheners, that's the first clue. I think that's the first time we've ever had a clue like that. Okay. But in the meantime, you should continue using the first one. Cable ID, the Spectrum TV app, and keep visiting twcc.com. And let's get the autopsy now. Ride a concourse to Banbury Cross to see a fine lady upon a white horse. Richard? Oh, sorry, Matthew. That dead jockey has got me reminiscing about my childhood. Care for a hobby horse race around my laboratory? Maybe another time. For now, can you tell us how our victim was murdered? Well, to put it simply, the killer bashed Miss Jewel's brains in. They began their attack with a blow to the back of the victim's head. The victim then turned around to unsuccessfully defend herself, allowing the killer to launch a full frontal attack and pummel her to death. What a violent way to go. Tell us, Richard, did you uncover any other evidence to help us pinpoint this heinous murderer? Indeed. You see, your killer must have had more than just an appetite for murder, as they left a trail of creamy crumbs in the victim's mangled head. And an expensive trail at that, because the killer's crumbs come from macaroons. Macaroons. Those delectable but pricey French confections. Well, it'll only be stale bread for a macaron-loving killer when you put them behind bars, Matthew. Matthew, I've been told a day at the races can be exciting, but I do not think anyone was expecting the drama of finding a jockey with her head bashed in. For now, we haven't uncovered anyone with a motive to kill Miss Jewel. Indeed, all our suspects seem to genuinely like her. Lady Highmore found the victim charming enough to take her on as a protege, while Rahul, the stable hand, claims Miss Jewel was the only one at Ascot to show him kindness. There is still much investigating to be done if we are to... Fancy seeing you here, Senior Trooper Matthew. Did you miss me? Archie Rochester? OMG. I'll see you guys for Chapter 2 of Get Off Your High Horse. Alright, we're ready for Chapter 2 of Get Off Your High Horse. Let's start it now. Archie Rochester, you are supposed to be in exile abroad for your nefarious actions in Elysium Fields. Well, now I'm back. Switzerland was just too tame to hold the likes of me. And you've returned to Concordia just in time for a murder. Take a seat, Mr. Rochester. Senior Trooper Matthew needs to have a word with you. Archie Rochester, what the devil are you doing back in Concordia? Senior Trooper Matthew, I've had just the most educative time abroad. Really was the best thing my parents could have done for me. Yes, all that free reign to get up to no good must have been highly refreshing. Oh, come now. I didn't get up to any trouble except breaking a few hearts here and there, but that isn't a crime now, is it? No, but masterminding the deaths of 6 innocent lives to seduce a mobster's daughter certainly was. Senior Trooper Matthew, why must you bring up my past actions? I was just a boy then. Now you see a man before you. I've even taken on the great responsibility of assisting my mother in her distillery business. Well, since you claim to be so responsible, perhaps you can tell us what you know about Anna Jewel, the murdered jockey. Ah, yes. Anna was a sweet little thing, a bit too horse-mad for my liking, but charming nonetheless. If I recall correctly, the last time I saw her, she was trotting around my family's department store. Our victim was at the Rochester department store? Matthew, in that case, you must investigate there at once. While you're there, could you pick up some macarons for me? I've had a craving for them since Paris. Plus, they're always useful for sweetening up old biddies like Lady Highmore. We'll have more important matters to deal with at the department store than your food cravings, Archie.
Look who signed up.
Nancy's daughter Sophie, back when the kids have no access.
You live in town, Ron?
Currently under unlimited energy happy hour for the next 20 minutes, just 20 minutes and change. Oh, it's just under 20 minutes.
You and Jenny still together, Ron?
She's helping me move out. Our place into a hotel. Look, I have lost my job. I lost my home. I lost everything. All because an unbalanced woman couldn't deal with rejection. Are you satisfied?
Please speak with your daughter.
No. No. She's a minor and I won't allow it. Ron.
Magazine cover.
Either that or we ask him. Sophie,
Oh,
I understand that you're in the studio.
son of a gun. Oh, but I still got it. Great. I still got the first star.
I was working outside.
Is that all you?
Maybe she's just scared.
Okay. Matthew, this is a framed cover of Ponies and Puppies magazine featuring our victim. The headline reads, Anna Jewel, a new star in the world of horse riding. Miss Jewel's pictured with another jockey, but his face is obscured by the rather substantial trophy he's holding. His horse, however, is in clear view. Let's see if we can identify the mystery jockey through his thoroughbred. And this fancy box is addressed to our victim. Let's open that lock to see what hides inside.
Dad didn't do anything. He destroyed his bike.
That's enough. That's enough. She's talking to me.
Listen here.
No, Sophie. It's not her fault. She must have heard you talking on the phone about Myra. She had seen how upset I was. I'm responsible. It's not her.
It's two. Oh, there we go. Milton Dobby's horse. Matthew, the horse pictured on the framed magazine cover is called Sweet Cheeks, and its rider is a jockey named Milton Dobby. Mr. Dobby appears to be a veteran horse racer and a big name in his own right. Let's see what he has to say about his murdered competitor. Mr. Dobby? Oh, you didn't see me eating those macarons, did you? I'd better use my mouth spray or my horse will be very disappointed in me. Mr. Dobby, we're investigating the murder of Anna Jewel and... Yes, I heard about Anna's untimely demise. We've lost a true talent in the horse riding world. Not that she was as good as me, of course. Did you know Miss Jewel well? We'd exchanged a word or two during racing meets, but I can't say I knew her any more than my other competitors. Officers, I do hope you solve Anna's murder promptly so that Ashcroft can reopen again. There are trophies waiting to be added to my collection. Locked box now. Let's see if we can get this right. Oh boy, it's the codes again. Like I said, this is a very tedious thing. Okay. 2969. 569. 52. Okay. Flowers. Matthew, the fancy box addressed to our victim contained this colorful bouquet of flowers. The note attached reads, "Thank you for the star performance." You're right, this bouquet may simply be a fan's tribute to our jockey, but let's send it to Diego in case there's more to this gift than meets the eye. Okay. And that's 2. And we'll see. 12 hours. Get the results tomorrow. For now, this is Matthew. See you then. Okay, we have returned. Let's get the results of the bouquet from Diego. Matthew, they say you should never look a gift horse in the mouth, but you were right to treat these flowers with suspicion. Do tell us more, Diego. At first, this bouquet is simply a lovely present for our victim. But in reality, the flowers have been chosen specifically to send an unbridled message of anger. You see, the bouquet's orange lilies symbolize disdain, while the monkshood warned the recipient to be cautious, and the seemingly innocent buttercups represent childish behavior. What a sneaky way to tell someone off. Well, it won't be all that surprising when I tell you the handwriting on the note is Lady Highmore's. But Lady Highmore said the victim was her protege. She had better have an innocent reason for sending such an underhanded gift, Matthew. I'm known for sending flowers to people, but not like that. I do that to some of my local newscasters whenever a birthday comes up, just to be on the nice side. Please don't come too close, Senior Trooper Matthew. It's those canapes they serve in the grand enclosure. Too much garlic. I shall have to borrow some breath freshener off dear Princess Eliza. Otherwise, it will be simply impossible to converse in a respectable manner. Well, perhaps you can communicate via flowers, the same way you did with Miss Jewel. Oh, you found my silly little gift. Now see here, I took Anna under my wing and even made her the star attraction of my pre-Ascot cocktail soiree. And how did that girl repay my kindness? By proceeding to get thoroughly sozzled and making a terrible embarrassment of herself and me. The very next day, I received a letter rescinding my invitation to judge the annual flower arranging competition. It was social suicide. That is a lot of anger, Lady Highmore. Let us hope social suicide did not drive you to more dire extremities. Mon Dieu, Matthew. Only Lady Highmore would be so enraged by a mere flower competition. But enough musing. What say you we take another look around the grand enclosure to see if there are any more incriminating clues hiding among the hats? Yep, I got the cat on. I am considering getting the monkey from the last pet shop in Grimsboro, but still undecided yet. Waiter's tray. A betting slip. There we are. What made you pick up that old betting slip, Matthew? Oh, I see. It's a hefty bet on our victim, but the slip also mentions she lost the race. The bettor's name is almost completely torn off the slip, but I'm sure you'll be able to work it out. And if you think that tea tray might be hiding something, we had better rifle through it. And we will. Oh no. Reinberg. Matthew, the person who placed the losing bet on our victim was called Reinberg. You're right. Reinberg is Princess Eliza's surname. I wonder how the princess felt about losing such a large amount of shillings thanks to Miss Jewel. Let's ask her. Hello again, Senior Trooper Matthew. Have you managed to apprehend Miss Jewel's dastardly assailant? Not yet, Your Highness. However, we did find your betting slip. It seems you lost a large sum of money thanks to Miss Jewel losing her race. Gracious me, how did you chance upon that bet? If you must know, Miss Jewel assured me she was the best jockey in Concordia, so I thought it would be a jolly good laugh to place a bet on her. And the silly girl and her horse just sauntered casually across the racecourse. I lost a whole month's allowance, and Daddy was simply furious. I have even had to resort to eating inferior quality macaroons because of her. You simply cannot imagine the shame of it all. A stirrup. Matthew, someone hid this bloody stirrup beneath the tea party items on the tray. I do not know much about horse equipment, but I agree, the green color of the stirrup strap is rather unusual. In any case, could the killer have used the stirrup to murder the victim? Rose knows all about unconventional weapons. Let's send it to her. And this is also 12 hours, so I'll see y'all then. Okay, folks, we have returned. Let's get the results of the bloody stirrup from Rose. Matthew, you saddled me with quite a challenge, so I teamed up with Dick, which was rather entertaining, if a bit morbid. Indeed, who would have thought to murder someone using a stirrup? A killer who likes horsing around, that's who. So the stirrup Matthew found in the tea tray is definitely the murder weapon, which was used to kill Miss Jewel. It most certainly is. You see, Dick confirmed that the lacerations on the victim's head matched the shape of the stirrup. What's more, Miss Jewel's injuries showed that the killer held the stirrup using the leather strap, allowing them to wallop the victim's head with even more power. So I took a closer look at the stirrup strap and noticed some white smudges, which turned out to be sunscreen. Sunscreen that was no doubt deposited by the killer while beating poor Miss Jewel to death. So our killer wears sunscreen. Well, Matthew, their sunny days will be few and far between once you lock them up. Matthew, this case has certainly had us jumping through hoops and hurdles to find out who murdered Anna Jewel. We now know that Miss Jewel had her head pounded to a pulp with a stirrup, but by whom? Could it have been Lady Highmore, who suffered social suicide because of the victim's drunken shenanigans? Or did the loss of her allowance at the hands of the victim enrage Princess Eliza enough to commit murder? Whatever the case, I am certain that a few more clues will... Senior Trooper Matthew, this is an outrage! How dare you besmirch the name of Concordia in such a fashion? I demand answers right now. What the heck? You're putting the cart before the horse again, Sandra. I didn't say nothing. We'll find out in Chapter 3 what all the hubbub's about. We're back now for Chapter 3 of Get Off Your High Horse. Whatever is the matter, Deputy Mayor? I've heard you've been interrogating Her Royal Highness, Princess Eliza Reinberg of Splichtenstein. What compelled you to do such a thing? We have found evidence which suggests she may be implicated in the murder that took place at Ashcroft and... Poppycock! It is not often we have royalty visiting Concordia, and we must ensure the princess leaves with only the most wonderful of memories. Which should not include being treated like a common criminal by the Concordian flying squad. Now steer clear of the princess, or there will be consequences. Matthew, I'm afraid we have no choice but to disregard the Deputy Mayor's concerns. We must always treat each suspect with the same precision, no matter their status. Now we have no time to lose if we're to catch Miss Jewel's murderer. Let us continue our investigation by making another inspection of the department store. Open book. Oh. Oh, where the heck's the croissant? Oh, there. Right on the floor. Learning the scene. Don't worry. Matthew, this blouse has been violently slashed to shreds. And you're right, the dry cleaning ticket shows it belongs to the victim. Perhaps scooping off some of the white powder left on the victim's blouse will help us discover who wanted to destroy it. And this book is called Jumping Fences Over My Heart. Sounds like a story for horse enthusiasts. There's a faded inscription in the book signed by Miss Jewel. We must try and recover the rest of her dedication. And I agree, this shopping bag may well be hiding something important. Let's have a rummage through it. I'm going to take care of everything right now. There it is. Matthew, this flyer you found at the bottom of the shopping bag says, I want you to join the Concordian anti-women movement. A movement against women? How appalling. And you're right, the poster boy for this unsavory organization is none other than our jockey, Milton Dobby. I agree. If Mr. Dobby is so against women, I wonder what he really thought of our victim's success. Let's ask him. Let's see what he has to say. Do you have as delicate skin as I, Senior Trooper Matthew? Thank goodness Lady Highmore was kind enough to lend me her sunscreen. Otherwise, I'd be burnt to a crisp. I'm surprised you even deigned to consort with Lady Highmore, considering your view on members of the opposite sex. We found your poster, you see. Now, come. I was merely pointing out the obvious fact that women are inferior to men. Then how do you explain Anna Jewel's great success as a jockey? Clearly, it shows women can achieve anything a man can. Anna's so-called success was an outright sham. How could a girl, think she could become a jockey, let alone one as good as the likes of me? Horse racing is a man's world, and unless they've got tails, fillies belong firmly in the stands. Quite honestly, it's no wonder Anna got herself killed. That's what happens when you don't know your place. Despicable. Mr. Dobby, if we find out your misogynistic views drove you to commit murder, your place will be firmly behind bars. The full inscription written by Miss Jewel on the book you picked up reads, "This story reminded me of us. Hope you enjoy it as much as I did." I agree. Paired with the heart below the dedication and the romantic title, this looks like a love token sent from our victim, but to whom? We certainly don't have time to peruse this book ourselves for clues about the intended recipient, but I'm sure Evie can help us out. Okay, 9 hours. Got it. Let's put this white powder you picked up from the victim's slashed blouse under the microscope. horse grooming powder. Matthew, the white particles you collected from our victim's slashed blouse turned out to be horse grooming powder. Jockeys of Miss Jewel's standing do not look after their horses themselves, so this grooming powder can't have belonged to her. However, horse care is certainly Rahul the stable hand's domain. Did he drop some of this powder on the victim's garment while ripping it to shreds? Rahul said he and Miss Jewel were friends, so he had better have a good explanation for his violent actions. Senior Trooper Matthew, you're just in time for munchies. Want to help me feed the horses? No, thank you. Rahul, you said Anna Jewel was your friend, so why did you violently rip her blouse to shreds? Cripes, you found me out. Anna was my friend, but when she got famous, she got too big for her boots and forgot all about little Rahul. All she did was order me around and make fun of my horse breath, even though I use a nice minty spray so me mouth don't pong. So when Anna commanded me to pick up her dry cleaning like I were her lackey, it were the last straw. And the next thing I knew, I'd taken out all my anger on her clothes. Well, Rahul, I hope your rage didn't prompt you to commit murder, or you'll be making plenty of new friends. In prison. That's gonna do. I'll have all the stars collected, so for now, this is Matthew. See you then.
For these boys to forward them to the entire student.
Okay, folks, we've returned. Let's get the results of the victim's book.
Nothing further.
Matthew, the book you sent me is the most vapid and saccharine thing I've ever read. If you say so, Abby, but did you find anything that might help us ascertain to whom the victim's book dedication was intended? Well, the victim mentioned the story reminded her of the person she gifted the book to. And it just so happens the silly man the protagonist is pining for is called Archibald, a name often shortened to Archie. Archie? As in Archie Rochester? Our victim was sending love tokens to Archie Rochester? How odd. Matthew, let's see what Archie thought about Miss Jewel's advances.
Let me remind you, young lady, that you're under oath. Did someone assault you to get you to alter your testimony?
Please don't make me tell you.
I'm giving you one last chance. Name your assailant, or I'm holding you in contempt of court.
I can't.
Archie, we found the book Anna Jewel had gifted you discarded in the department store. Ah, yes, I threw that asinine book away. Little Anna was madly in love with me, but I did not feel the same. I wasn't going to make the same mistake twice. Mistake? Whatever do you mean? Common girls are too much trouble, Senior Trooper Matthew. After the way Giulietta treated me, I decided only a thoroughbred woman will do for me. Talking of which, where's that princess? She asked for a squirt of my sunscreen earlier, partly as a pretext to speak to me, I'm sure. I'd better go see if she needs some more.
How are you? Kathleen. Friend of Olivia's.
Matthew, I feel we are just a hop and a skip away from finding Anna Jewel's killer, but now is not the time to lose momentum. Yes, I agree. A final sweep of the stables where we found the victim's body is imperative. Come on, there's no time to waste.
We stopped hating ourselves. Makes you think I hate myself because I was a lot like you. I let boys use me, have sex with me, even hit me. Kim, I was too scared and too ashamed to say anything. Things got so bad, I went to jail. But I finally let someone help me. Same person's trying to help you.
Okay.
I don't know what to do. I love him. How could I betray
Here we
him?
go.
He's betraying you.
Oh, I see a clue already.
Every time he hits you, after Nancy says he's sorry, he'll never do it again. So you forgive him. But he hits you again.
Apple,
Makes
Cash.
you feel like you're nothing.
Bell.
Like he's the only one who will ever love you.
Canteen in the saddle.
Makes you smile. It says that
Perfect.
you deserve it.
6 seconds.
Doesn't it?
And I've got the first star already.
First time we were at a party. I spilled a punch on him. And he slapped me in the face for messing up his new shirt. And then I was after school for talking to another boy.
Well spotted, Matthew. This saddle is the same shade of green as the strap on the stirrup, which was used to kill the victim.
Treat you with respect.
Not only that, but the saddle is missing one of its stirrups. Clearly, this is where our killer procured their murder weapon. Perhaps collecting some of the strange fibers on the saddle will reveal something about our killer. And could this blood-stained jockey hat have belonged to the victim? We had better extract some of that blood.
And he got his hopes up.
They were supposed to be prohibited. This is all my fault. If I wouldn't have taken those pictures.
Tell us what happened.
My cell phone was missing from my purse.
Ha! Boom.
Steve stole it because he's always taking it with him. He found the pictures.
Let's send these fibers you picked up from the saddle to Viola right away.
He's cheating on him. He sent the pictures to everyone at school. Fake my number so no one knew he did it. And then he said if I saw Ethan again, he'd kill me. They told him that I sent the pictures by accident. He called me a liar. He hit me some more. So I took the train to Wilshire.
Jockey hat now.
To Ethan to explain what happened.
And
Steve was following me. He told me.
I begged him to stop, but he wouldn't. Then he kicked me in the head and I passed out.
Matthew, if there's anything other than blood hiding in the sample you collected from the jockey hat, Viola is sure to sniff it out.
When I had the pictures of that hunting, he told me to smoke.
15 hours,
Did Steve
and I'll see you guys then. For now, this is Matthew. See you later. Alright folks, we've returned. Let's put a killer behind bars right now. Orange fibers first. No, this can't be right. Dearest Viola, whatever is the matter? Oh, Matthew, I am sorry. It's just that I'm trying furiously to figure out who my real father might be. But I've only hit dead ends so far, and my mother still insists on keeping it a secret. Well, Viola, I am sorry to hear of your continuing predicament. Might we distract you from your family woes for a moment by asking you about the provenance of the fibers Matthew found on the saddle? But of course, that is why you are here, after all. Well, what can I say for certain? What I can say for certain is that your killer will be sporting plumage of some description. Because these fibers are in fact feathers. Your perpetrator must have inadvertently deposited some of these feathers on the saddle whilst grabbing for the murder weapon. Well, our feathered criminal won't be taking flight anytime soon if you've got anything to do with it, Matthew.
Could it be anywhere else? Great, let's go there.
Viola, what can you tell us about the sample of blood Matthew collected from the jockey bar?
We got lucky. For once these things were white, the paperwork said they should be.
Why would they send the text?
From the jockey hat. What, was it the victim's? Yes, it was. I'm guessing Miss Jewel grabbed the hat after receiving the first blow to try and knock her attacker away. While the victim merely succeeded in grazing her killer's face, her action still left us a precious clue. You see, there wasn't just blood on her hat. I also found traces of red lipstick, which the victim did not wear. Which means this lipstick must have come from a murderer. Matthew, I'll bet the killer never realized their red lips would lead them to being caught red-handed.
He just hit the gym. A lot of my victims were this way.
Matthew, have your handcuffs at the ready. It's time to arrest our killer.
Why does it want to test it?
It's not Lady Highmore. It's not Rahul. Hold on. It's not Archie Rochester. And it isn't Milton Dobby. Unfortunately, it's Eliza Reinberg. I did not ever imagine saying this, but Princess Eliza, we are placing you under arrest for the murder of Anna Jewell. Oh, I do declare, is this a Concordian parlor game of which I am not aware? I'm afraid this is no game, Your Highness. You left a trail of macaron crumbs in the victim's wounds, which led us straight to you. One would never be so uncouth as to leave crumbs lying anywhere, let alone on a cadaver. Then how do you explain the trace of breath freshener you deposited on the victim's cravat as you were trying to get rid of it? My breath naturally smells of the joys of spring. I am offended you would imply otherwise. Next, you'll be telling us your lips are naturally that red. Your lipstick ended up on Miss Jewell's hat as she tried to defend herself from your deadly blows. It's time to confess, Your Highness. Ah, enough said. You got me, Senior Trooper Matthew. It were me who done Anna in. Princess, your accent. Why has your voice changed? Because I ain't no foreign princess. I'm just poor Eliza Fairfax, a flower girl from the market. At least I used to be. Anna and me was best friends growing up. We was always wanting to make something more of ourselves. She with her horses and me by taking classes to talk proper like a lady. And I were really good at it. I even fooled everyone into thinking I were bloomin' foreign royalty. So you pretended you were a foreign princess, but I failed to see what your old friend had to do with this farce of yours. I hadn't seen Anna in years, but then we bumped into each other at one of Lady Highmore's soirees, and she bloomin' recognized me. The likes of me can drink something chronic, but it took just one gin fizz to get that ninny Anna drunk as a skunk, and the drunker she was, the more she talked. I had to shut her up before she told everyone who I really was, so I went to the stables to talk to her, all nice and proper like, but then me temper got the better of me. And before I knew it, I'd grabbed the nearest stirrup and began walloping Anna on the head until she stopped moving. Well, you certainly succeeded in shutting the victim up. Now it's your turn to be shut up, in prison. Eliza Fairfax, you are under arrest. Miss Fairfax, I have seen some bizarre cases in my time, but yours really takes the horse biscuit. How do you plead to the murder of Anna Jewell? Not guilty, Your Honor. It were Princess Eliza Reinberg who done Anna in. I'm a good girl, I am. How dare you mock the court with your cheek? Senior Trooper Matthew has told me all about your royal alter ego, and believe me, I will be more than happy to add impersonation to your list of misdemeanors. Well, you can't blame a girl for wanting to come up in the world. No, but I can blame her for beating an innocent woman to death just to hide her true identity. Eliza Fairfax, I sentence you to 18 years in prison for the murder of Anna Jewell. Ow! Just you wait, Your Honor, I'll be a lady yet. Yeah, right. There you are, Matthew. I was just walking the mayor and his deputy to the door. See, Deputy Wang? I told you Senior Trooper Matthew and the flying squad could be counted on to solve this grisly murder. Quite so. Quite so. Senior Trooper Matthew, I have to admit you did a commendable job. Indeed. Who would have imagined that dainty Princess Eliza would turn out to be such a dark horse? Senior Trooper Matthew certainly did. Even a seasoned imposter like Eliza Fairfax was no match for your inimitable sleuthing skills. I couldn't have said it better. Adieu for now, Mayor, Deputy. And another job well done, Matthew. You solved this murder in record time, allowing Ashcroft to reopen its doors, and for everyone in Concordia to feel safe once again. Okay. And that's gonna do. Let's take a look at the other ones before we move on. Archie Rochester cleared early. Milton Dobby, no lipstick. No feather for Lady Highmore. And Rahul Shah cleared from the start. It was Eliza Reinberg. I'll see you guys for a run for your money, 4-6. Okay, folks, we have returned. Let's start a run for your money, 4-6. Matthew, the murder at the races was a tough case, but you managed to solve it nonetheless. A foreign princess turning out to be a murderous imposter. That's one to tell the grandkids. Well, if this case has made me realize anything, it is that it's high time I got over my silly phobia of horses. Good idea, Matthew. Perhaps Rahul, the stable hand, will be able to help me. Will you come with me to speak to him? Bontemps, I'm proud of you for facing your fear. But, Matthew, before you head off to see Rahul, the chief wants a quick word. I'll accompany you. Okay. Matthew, I was hoping I might employ your superior sleuthing skills for a personal matter. I have recently begun courting a woman from the Rochester family named Bernadine. From the first moment, I couldn't help but be charmed by her assets, monetary and otherwise. Bernadine and I have spent some enjoyable moments together since then, and I am thrilled to tell you she has agreed to dine with me this evening. How exciting, sir! Yes. However, for a lady of her stature, I really must offer her a gift that will truly impress, but I fear I am stumped as to whether it will tickle her fancy. Well, sir, there must be something you have gleaned about Miss Bernadine from your moments together. Bernadine tends to witter on, so I don't always pay attention. It'll be hard to win Bernadine's heart if you don't listen to her, sir. Well, I do recall she mentioned pouring her soul into her embroidery. She's always at the Rochester department store buying more thread. In that case, perhaps I'll find one of her embroidered pieces at the department store and discover the key to her soul. Just spiffing. And here, take some spending money with you. Okay. Oh. There we are. Matthew, I get the feeling the chief might be more smitten with Bernadine Rochester's fortune than with her smile. But we promised to give him a hand in winning her affections, and so we shall. Talking of which, do you find these torn pieces of cloth curious, Matthew? Then let us stitch them back together. Matthew, those torn pieces of material were once an embroidered peacock. And look, it's signed BR. This peacock has to be one of Bernadine Rochester's creations. Diego's always saying no one has better knowledge than him when it comes to a woman's heart. Let's see what Bernadine's creation tells him about her innermost desires. This is 6 hours.
How many times?
Rahul, we come to you with a rather delicate situation. You see, I'm scared of horses, and How could anyone be afraid of sweet little horses? Horses are loyal, and they won't betray you, unlike nasty people. If you say so. But tell me, is there anything that can be done to curb this fear of mine? Well, I think if you actually learn how to ride a horse, you might feel better about them. I suppose I could try that. Might you by any chance have a very, very small horse to hand? Let me think. Oh yes, Crazy Eyes would be perfect for you. Crazy Eyes? It doesn't sound very tame. Crazy Eyes does tend to get a bit excited by birdies and rabbits and whatnot. But if you could find her blinders somewhere in these here stables, she'll be as docile as a lamb. Mon Dieu, an excitable horse will certainly not do. Matthew, please help me search the stables high and low for these blinders. Okay, let's see here.
The family did everything they could. They called the police, kept an eye on drug traffic, and stepped forward as witnesses. They protected custody. It wasn't a big piece.
Did you find the
Owl. There we are. 16 seconds, wow. Matthew, I'm wondering if taking a riding lesson to overcome my fear of horses was a good idea after all. Perhaps I should just return to the airship. No, of course you're right. I can't give up now, and maybe looking through this bucket for the blinders Rahul asked for will help still my nerves. One more thing. Matthew, these horse blinders you found at the bottom of the horse food bucket must be the ones Rahul was talking about. I certainly hope Rahul was right when he said the blinders will help keep my horse calm. Let's get them straight to him. It's 3 coins. And let's talk to Rahul. Rahul, we found the horse blinders you asked for. That's just spiffing. I'll get Crazy Eyes saddled up right away for your lesson. Oh, mon Dieu, what have I got myself into? Now don't you worry, Senior Trooper Matthew. Crazy Eyes and I will take real good care of Mr. Bontemps here. In the meantime, why don't you go enjoy yourself at the races? Here, take this so you can fit in with all the posh folks. Matthew, look, I've tamed the beast. Honestly, I can't understand why I was ever scared of horses. Sir, Crazy Eyes here is a pony. Horses are bigger beasties. Mere semantics, my boy. Today I met my Waterloo, and I have emerged victorious. Yes, sir, you really showed that pony who's boss. Matthew, I shall take your leave to trot off into the sunset with Crazy Eyes. Adieu for now. Alright, I'll let the peacock run its course. See you when that's done. Okay, folks, we have returned, and let's get the results of the embroidered peacock. Matthew, I took the liberty of calling in the chief to share the analysis results of Bernadine Rochester's embroidery. Do not leave us in suspense any longer, Mr. DeLobo. What have you found out about Bernadine that will help me buy her a suitable gift? Well, Chief, Miss Bernadine's choice of a peacock shows she is attracted to luxurious things and needs to be the center of attention at every party. She certainly sounds expensive to please. Don't panic, Chief. Notice that the peacock's tail is closed. This reveals that Miss Bernadine is a private person and won't be looking for an ostentatious gift. Therefore, I suggest you buy the lady something tasteful, a gold brooch, perhaps, or just a simple pair of emerald earrings. Just a pair of emeralds? Well, I put most of my savings into Leopold Rochester's bonds for the Concordia Telephone Company, but I should have enough left to buy something to please the delectable Bernadine Rochester. Good luck, Chief. And Matthew, if I could have a word with you in private. Matthew, thanks for staying behind. I've called Maddie in as well. There's something I need to talk to you about. So much mystery, Diego. You see, I am somewhat concerned about these telephone company bonds the chief has invested so heavily in. But Leopold Rochester is endorsing these bonds, so they must be legitimate. Charlie's also said investing in the Concordia Telephone Company is a sure bet because telephones are the technology of the future. I know, but something feels amiss. I'm a reformed forger. I can sense these things. A lot of people are counting on these bonds to help them recover from the stock market crash, so it is essential that they be above board. Well, since the bonds are being endorsed by the Rochesters, perhaps you should probe Archie about them. I have a feeling you'll be able to get on his good side.
Increased cholesterol, weight gain, decreased white blood cells, which can be serious. Dizziness instantly, seizures, trouble swallowing, and impaired judgment or motor skills.
Let's ask Archie. Senior Trooper Matthew, I simply cannot talk to you right now. My asthma. But that's such a shame, Archie. Senior Trooper Matthew has been telling me all about your superior intellect, and I was thoroughly looking forward to delving into your mind. Oh, well, in that case, how can I be of assistance? Wonderful to see your asthma has disappeared. Now we are simply dying to know more about these bonds that are being endorsed by your Uncle Leopold. Oh yes, those bonds are an excellent investment. People were buying them left, right, and center in the Grand Enclosure earlier. How thrilling. I love to know how these bonds actually work. Oh, I don't bother myself with such boring details. Now how about we continue extolling my virtues over a spot of lunch instead? Well, Matthew, Archie was less helpful than I'd hoped, but he did let slip something of great importance. That the bonds were being bought and sold earlier in the Grand Enclosure. There may be a vital clue left behind for us to find. Matthew, this portfolio has a Concordia Telephone Company logo on it. We're bound to find some information about Leopold Rochester's bonds inside. Let's open it. F1, Q28. Bingo, Matthew. This portfolio is full of documents on the telephone company's bonds. I look at the names on the first page. Highmore, Wilson, Upperton. All the most influential families in Concordia have invested heavily. I'm still not sold on these bonds, but you're right. I'm sure our adorable Evie will be able to unearth any secrets these documents hold. Okay, 6 hours. I'll see you all then. Okay, folks, we have returned, and let's get the results of the bond investors. Okay. Hello there, Evie. How did my suggestion of taking your girlfriend Catherine to a burlesque show work out? Oh, Diego, it worked better than I could have ever imagined. You must tell me everything. But first, did you find out anything of interest about the bond scheme and the documents Matthew sent you? Well, what is interesting is not what I found, but what I didn't find. Whatever do you mean? Well, everyone who's anyone has invested in the bond scheme, except for the Rochesters. None of the Rochesters has invested in the bonds? That's odd, considering Leopold Rochester himself is endorsing the scheme. You see, Matthew, I told you something smelled fishy. We'll have to look into these bonds in more detail as soon as we can.
I haven't found anyone on my island that feels that it's our responsibility to
Matthew, thanks to you, my supper with Bernadette couldn't have gone better. What with Bernadette's affections and my bonds investment promising significant rewards, I really do feel that nothing is lacking from my life. Chief, might I just interject? You see, Matthew and I discovered something rather disconcerting about Leopold Rochester's bond scheme. Despite being supposedly so lucrative, not a single member of the Rochester family has invested in these bonds. Oh, come now, Matthew. There's a simple explanation for that. Clearly, the Rochesters are already so wealthy that they do not need to invest in such schemes. Now I'm out to pen some poetry for my Bernadette. Women like that kind of thing, don't they? While I admire the Chief's optimism, I cannot shake the nagging feeling that something's off with this investment scheme. Keep your eyes and ears open, Matthew. Something tells me this isn't the last we'll be hearing of these bonds.
He's appealing to lawmakers for a compromise, even if it means staying past this week.
I ask, isn't it worth getting this right? So we don't
Okay,
have to come back
and that will do.
with that.
2 more cases, and then we'll be out of this district.
Whether the Senate bill oversteps the home rule issue, it hopes the State Attorney General will look at those legal issues before the end of the week. Reporting live from the newsroom, Catherine Cruz, Island News.
And please disregard the noise going on over here. Case 41 will be open on August 31st, and that is on Thursday.
Good evening.
But first,
Evening ahead here at the state capitol. Lots of tough questions being asked of Hart and the city and county of Honolulu downstairs. That hearing is still in progress. Based on the testimony so far, it seems that the county mayors are against the bill, but members of Hawaii's congressional delegation are for it.
4 new ones.
Shots and Congresswoman Colleen Hanabusa were among the first to testify.
2 new ones. Two new ones again.
Since the full funding
Fresh 5. That's going to do. Okay.
And lots of testifiers from the tourism industry.
And that's going to do.
Strong opposition against using the T-18.
And I'll see you guys on August 31st.